Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Naram Chavanaruttamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Mashtiki Omijnanati Marandasya Kiranjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langate Kirim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. Hare Krishna. So we'll read today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text 18, right? Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasha Abhira Sambhaya Vanakashadaya Yenye Chapapayat Apashraya Shraha Shudyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnavi Namaha Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasha Abhira Shumbhaya Vanakashadaya Yenye Chapapayat Apashraya Shraya Shudyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnavi Namaha. Chapapayata Pashraya Shraya Shudyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnavi Namaha. Kirata Unandra Pulinda Pulkasha Abhira Shumbhaya Vanakashadaya Shudyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namaha. Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasha Abira Shumbaya Vanakashadaya Yanyecha Papa Yada Pashraya Shrayaha Shudyanti Tasmai Prabhavishwe Namaha Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasha
Abira Shumbaya Vanakashadaya
Abira Shumbaya Vanakashadaya Yenecha Papa Yada Pashraya Shrayaha Shudyanti Tasmai Prabhavishwe Namaha Kirata Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasha Abira Shumbaya Vanakashadaya Shudyanti Tasmai Prabhavishwe Namaha.
You're liking very much.
It's a nice system actually to have everyone one line. It's good. Yeah. Everyone gets involved. I like that. Yeah. Okay, word by word. Kirata, a province of all the Bharata. Huna, part of Germany and Russia. Andhra, a province of southern India. Pulinda, the Greeks. Pulkasha, another province. Abira, part of all Sindh. Shumbaha, another province. Yavanaha, the Turks. Kasha Adhaya, the Mongolian province. Ye, even those. Anye, others. Cha, also. Papaha, addicted to sinful acts. Yat, whose? Apashraya Ashrayaha, having taken shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Shudyanti, at once purified. Tasmai, unto him. Prabhavishnave, unto the powerful Vishnu. Namaha, my respectful obeisances. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Kirata Huna Andhra Pulinda Pulkasha Abhira Shumbha Yavana, members of the Kasha races and even others addicted to sinful acts, can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord due to his being the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Purport. It's quite a lengthy purport. The first part is the description of these different races, and then probably goes more into the deeper meaning of the shloka. We'll just Kirata, a province of all the Bharat Varsha mentioned in the Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata. Generally, the Kiratas are known as the aboriginal tribes of India. And in modern days, the Santal Parganas in Bihar and Chota Nagpur might comprise the old province named Kirata. Huna, the area of East Germany and part of Russia, is known as the province of Hunas. Accordingly, sometimes a kind of hill tribe is known as Hunas. Andhra, a province in southern India, mentioned in Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata. It is still extant and the same name. Pulinda, it is mentioned in the Mahabharata Adi Parva 174.3 38 with the inhabitants of the province of the name Pulinda. This country was conquered by Bhishma, Sena, and Sahadev. The Greeks are known as Pulindas, and it is mentioned in the Vana Parva of Mahabharata that the non-Vedic race of this part of the world would rule over the world. This Pulinda province was also one of the provinces of Bharat, and the inhabitants were classified amongst the Kshatriya kings. But later on, due to their giving up the Brahminical culture, they were mentioned as Mlechas. Who are Mlechas? Prabhupada explains, just as those who are not followers of the Islamic culture are called Kafirs, and those who are not followers of the Christian culture are called heathens. Yeah. So the Mlechas are another term for those who are not following Vedic culture. And then we have more. Abhira. This name also appears in the Mahabharata, both in the Shabha Parva and Bhishma Parva. It is mentioned that this province was situated on the river Saraswati in Sindh. The modern Sindh province formerly extended on the other side of the Arabian Sea, and all the inhabitants of that province were known as the Abhiras. They were under the domination of Maharaj Yudhisthira, and according to the statements of the Markandeya, the Mlechas of this part of the world would also rule over Bharat. Later on, this proved to be truth, as in the case of the Pulindas. On behalf of the Pulindas, Alexander the Great conquered India, and on behalf of the Abhiras, Muhammad Ghori conquered India. These Abhiras were also formerly Kshatriyas within the Brahminical culture, but they gave up that connection. The Kshatriyas who were afraid of Parusharam and had hidden themselves in the Caucasian hill regions later on became known as the Abhiras, and the place they inhabited was known as Abhira Desha. Okay, 3 more. Shambhas or Kankas, the inhabitants of the Kanka province of Old Bharat, mentioned in the Mahabharata. Yavanas. Yavana was the name of one of the sons of Maharaj Yayati, who was given a part of the world known as Turkey to rule. Therefore, the Turks are Yavanas, due to being descendants of Maharaj Yavana. The Yavanas were therefore Kshatriyas, and later on, by giving up the Brahminical culture, they became Mlecha Yavanas. Description of the Yavanas are in the Mahabharata, Adi Parva 85.34. Another province called Turvashu was also known as Yavana, and this country was conquered by Sahadev, one of the Pandavas. The western Yavana joined with Duryodhan in the battle of Kurukshetra under the pressure of Karna. It was also foretold that these Yavanas also would conquer India, and it proved to be true. And then the last, Kasha. The inhabitants of the Kasha Desha are mentioned in the Mahabharata Drona Parva. Those who have stunted growth of hair on the upper lip are generally called Kashas. As such, the Kashas are the Mongolians, the Chinese, and others who are so designated. Hare Krishna. So they were all, it's interesting, they all gave up their Brahminical culture, and they were Kshatriyas, and many of them later on conquered or ruled over India. But yeah, these are all different kind of races or different kind of people. So Prabhupada explains a little further now about the deeper meaning of that shloka. The above mentioned historical names are different nations of the world. Even those who are constantly engaged in sinful acts are all corrigible to the standard of perfect human beings if they take shelter of the devotees of the Lord. And that's basically the main point here, that no matter where you're coming from, but if you're taking shelter of a devotee of the Lord, you can be purified. That's basically the main theme of this shloka. And interesting enough, Prabhupada then quotes 2 pure devotees, Jesus Christ and Muhammad. 2 powerful devotees of the Lord have done tremendous service on behalf of the Lord on the surface of the globe. It's interesting how Prabhupada appreciates the service of these devotees, although they're not directly in the Vedic tradition. And from the version of Srila Shukadev Goswami, it appears that instead of running a godless civilization in the present context of the world situation, if the leadership of world affairs is entrusted to the devotees of the Lord, for which a worldwide organization under the name and style of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, in the style of Bhakti Marg Maharaj, I'm not attempting to do the same, but here it was kind of obvious, has already been started, and by the grace of the Almighty Lord, there can be a throughout change of heart in human beings all over the world, because the devotees of the Lord are able authorities to effect such change by purifying the dust-worn minds of the people in general. The politicians of the world may remain in their respective positions because the pure devotees of the Lord are not interested in political leadership or diplomatic implications. The devotees are interested only in seeing that the people in general are not misguided by political propaganda and that the valuable life of human being is not spoiled in following a type of civilization which is ultimately doomed. If the politicians therefore would be guided by the good counsel of the devotees, then certainly there would be a great change in the world situation by the purifying propaganda of the devotees as shown by Lord Chaitanya. So Prabhupada makes the point that we don't necessarily have to become politicians, but if they would listen to us, if you could, as Brahminical council could guide them, that would be very helpful. Give them a spiritual perspective on things. And now the main point of this verse is highlighted by Prabhupada in the last part of the purport. As Shukadev Goswami began his prayer by discussing the word Yat Kirtanam, so also Lord Chaitanya recommended that simply by glorifying the Lord's holy name, a tremendous change of heart can take place, by which the complete misunderstanding between the human nations created by politicians can at once be extinguished. And after the extinction of the fire of misunderstanding, other profits will follow. The designation is to go back home, back to Godhead, as we have several times discussed in these pages. According to the cult of devotion, generally known as the Vaishnava cult, there is no bar against anyone's advancing in the matter of God realization. So everyone can take to bhakti, there is no discrimination, regardless of which tradition you are from. A Vaishnava is powerful enough to turn into a Vaishnava even the Kirata, etc., as above mentioned. So through the contact of the pure devotee, that is possible. In the Bhagavad Gita 9:32, it is said by the Lord that there is no bar to becoming a devotee of the Lord, even for those who are lowborn or women, Shudras or Vaishyas. By becoming a devotee, everyone is eligible to return home back to Godhead. The only qualification is that one takes shelter of a pure devotee of the Lord who has throughout knowledge in the transcendental science of Krishna, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyone from any part of the world who becomes well conversant in the science of Krishna becomes a pure devotee and a spiritual master for the general mass of people and may reclaim them by purifying of heart. Though a person be even the most sinful man, he can at once be purified by systematic contact with a pure Vaishnava. A Vaishnava therefore can accept a bona fide disciple from any part of the world without any consideration of caste and creed and promote him by regulative principles to the status of a pure Vaishnava, who is a transcendental to Brahminical culture. The system of caste or varnashram dharma is no longer regular even amongst the so-called followers of the system, nor is it now possible to re-establish the institutional function in the present context of society, political and economical revolution. Without any reference to the particular custom of a country, one can be accepted to the Vaishnava cult spiritually, and there is no hindrance in the transcendental process. Of course, when we hear this purport, we understand why this is so important to Prabhupada, right? Because Prabhupada was such a pure devotee who came to the West, who initiated the Mlechas and Yavanas, and who was criticized for that by some of his god brothers. So Prabhupada makes this point clear. No, in the pages of the Bhagavatam, it's very clearly mentioned that actually that's a bona fide process. And the last part of the purport, the Vaishnavas never accept another Vaishnava on the basis of birthright, just as he never thinks of the deity of the Lord in the temple as an idol. And to remove all doubts in this connection, Srila Shukadev Goswami has invoked the blessings of the Lord who is all-powerful, prabhu Vishnave Namaha. As the all-powerful Lord accepts the humble service of his devotees in devotional activities of the Archana, his form as the worshipful deity in a temple, similarly the body of a pure Vaishnava changes transcendentally at once when he gives himself up to the service of the Lord and is trained by a qualified Vaishnava. The injunction of Vaishnava regulation in this connection runs as follows: Arche Vishnu Shiladir Guru Shu Nar Matir Vaishnava Yati Buddhi Shri Vishnur Namni Shabta Samanya Bhurihi, etc. One should not consider the deity of the Lord as worshipped in the temple to be an idol, nor should one consider the authorized spiritual master an ordinary man, nor should one consider a pure Vaishnava to belong to a particular caste, etc. From the Padma Purana. The conclusion is that the Lord, being all-powerful, can under any and every circumstance accept anyone from any part of the world, either personally or through his bona fide manifestation as the spiritual master. Lord Chaitanya accepted many devotees from communities other than the Varnashramites, and he himself declared to teach us that he does not belong to any caste or social order of life, but that he is the eternal servant of the Lord who maintains the emblems of Vrindavan, Lord Krishna. That is the way of self-realization. Hare Krishna. Long purport. Marathon purport. Okay, we have 20 minutes left. Wow. Actually, there's so much to say in this purport. So let's try to look a little bit on the general meaning of the verse, and then look at some of Srila Prabhupada's points, and then try to highlight. I see the 2 points here, very powerful. So these are the prayers of Shukadev Goswami, and he glorifies the Lord. And in this verse, he glorifies the Lord as Prabhave Vishnave Namaha, like as the powerful Vishnu. And also, of course, the devotees of the Lord are glorified, because those who have taken shelter of the powerful Vishnu, they become powerful themselves, because they could become a transparent media. And because of that, they are able to purify anyone they come in contact. So it's kind of a beautiful glorification of the Lord and also the Lord's devotees. And two kinds of sinners are mentioned here. Those by birth, and then we have seen all these different categories, right? The Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, and so on. These are all, they are by birth sinful, in a sense that, there's a lower birth, and if someone takes a lower birth, it has to do with the previous activities, and therefore they take a lower birth. And that's why it's an indication of their sinful nature. And then another kind of sinners are mentioned, those by action. Those who, someone may be born in a high-class family, but then still they act in a sinful way. So of course they also become sinners. So, but both categories can be purified just by the contact of a devotee. Upashraya refers to the devotees, so those who surrender to the devotees, accepting those devotees as their gurus, or become purified. So just by taking shelter of the proper guru, sinners by birth or by action, they can become purified. And this indicates that bhakti destroys both the prarabdha and the aprarabdha karma. We know that there is prarabdha karma and aprarabdha. Prarabdha karma is that karma which is manifested, and of course it manifests also through this body. Like basically at the end of the life, the consciousness that we have developed, it is manifested in the next life in the form of a gross body. And so it's not by chance that we are taking birth in a certain place or a certain body, and gender and certain psychophysical nature, mentality, that's all kind of a result of previous action, desires. This is the prarabdha karma. And it's interesting, it also says that prarabdha karma also includes not only the body, but also our duration of life. It says that there is, so many breaths we take, it's already given at prarabdha karma. Also the amount of happiness and distress that we experience is already given. Now, some may experience 25% distress and 75% happiness, and others maybe the other way around. Some people are just more lucky and others have more difficulty. So that's also part of prarabdha karma and other things as well. And of course then is the aprarabdha karma, which is things that are stored, reaction that may come any moment. And in a way it's quite interesting, like we live our lives, but we never know what happens next. Like just you're at home and all of a sudden it knocks. You don't know who is there. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's an enemy. All of a sudden you open the door and something happened. So similarly, karma can just hit you. We get up in the morning, nobody wants to have an accident or nobody wants to lose their job or that the spouse runs away. But these things happen and all of a sudden karma hits. So that's our situation in the conditioned life. But here it says that bhakti has the power to destroy prarabdha and aprarabdha karma. And that happens just by, of course, taking shelter of a pure devotee. As we know, time of initiation, basically our karma is destroyed, and of course some karma remains. The example is given like a fan. You take it out from the electricity, and the fan will still turn around. So that's kind of our remaining karma is there, and Guru and Krishna use that karma to purify us. But basically, karma, bhakti has the power to destroy karma, and therefore shuddhanti means to become purified. And therefore, and it's an interesting point, it's forbidden to identify devotees by their births, because they have taken shelter, they have surrendered to a pure devotee, they're practicing devotional service, and therefore they have become pure, or they are in the process of purification. So if you then start to discriminate, he is from this place or that place, then that's actually an offense. And Srila Vishnavacharya Thakur and Srila Prabhupada also quotes this Arche Vishnu Shiladhir Guru Shu, this shloka from the Padma Purana, that just as we don't see the idol like a deity just as an idol stone, but similarly we should not see a devotee as an ordinary person. So Prabhupada makes other points in the purport, but the main point that I find it was very important here is that the need to get the mercy of a pure devotee, that's one. We need, somehow or other, if we want to advance in our spiritual life, we need to take shelter of the pure devotee, and we need to get that mercy of such a powerful devotee. That's really essential to make progress in spiritual life. And the other point was this warning that we should be careful to not commit Vaishnava aparad. And if we follow both, our success in spiritual life is guaranteed. If we receive the mercy of a pure devotee and we are careful not committing offenses, for sure we will progress very swiftly and nicely in our spiritual life. So the principle of getting the mercy of a devotee, of course in scriptures we find many places where this is emphasized. One famous is in the conversation between King Rahugana and Jadabharat, right? There it says, this is 5:12:12. Rahugana tapasya nayati nacheya nirvapana kriyatva nachandasya naiva chalangi surair vinamahat pada rajobhishekam. Abhishekam, no? Pada rajobhishekam. Translation goes like this: My dear King Rahugana, unless one has the opportunity to smear his entire body with the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, one cannot realize the absolute truth. No. So unless we get the dust of the feet of the devotees, of course, we know, literally speaking, there is 3 items. What are the 3 items which can give us prema bhakti? Here is one: the dust and Two more. Charanamrita and Mahamaprasad, right? If you get the dust of the feet of a Vaishnava, we get the bathing water from the feet of a Vaishnava, or we get the remnants from a Vaishnava. They have immense power, and it's also glorified by the acharyas in many places. That there is a special mercy in that. And of course, so that's, we can try to go for that literally, not try to get the dust, or there is some Abhishek water or Maha Prasad. But then also it means to receive instruction, and to receive mercy, and to please that Vaishnava. That's another way we can see it. And then Jada Bharat explains further that there is many paths or many spiritual practices people try to follow, and it's described here, such as observing celibacy, following strictly the regulation of household life, vanaprastha, accepting sannyas, undergoing penances, and so on. But these will not help, but only the mercy of a Vaishnava. That's what we really require. Of course, these can also help to some degree, but without receiving the mercy of a devotee, this will not be enough. And in this regard, Srila Prabhupada gives a very interesting analogy. He says, this is in a purport to 2.3.23, where the same point is made, that if one does not receive the dust of a Vaishnava on his head, that person certainly has a dead body. And in the purport there, Prabhupada says, there is a common saying that one should first love the dog of the beloved before one shows any loving sentiments for the beloved. No, first love the dog and then love me. And maybe you have experiences, you're on a chopper walk, I don't know here, but in Zurich there's forest and people go with the dogs. And if you see the dog and you kind of show some, oh, is that cute, nice dog, oh wow, powerful, so beautiful dog, then immediately you see in the face of the owner of the dog, becomes very pleased and immediately feels some, sympathy for you. Immediately there's a good relationship. Why? Because the person has so much love for the dog, and if I show some affection, then immediately connection is there. An interesting problem makes that analogy that the pure devotees of the Lord, they are so dear to Krishna. They're so dear to Krishna that Krishna loves his devotees so much. So if an ordinary person shows some interest, some affection to his beloved devotees, then Krishna immediately becomes, he shows respect to my devotee, he shows love for my devotee, he serves my devotee. So Krishna becomes interested in such a person. So that's the principle that Srila Prabhupada emphasizes here. And in order to conclude, I'd just like to share a part of a song. This is from Narottam Das Thakur. Ebora karuna kuro Vaishnava gosai Patita pavana toma Bina ke inai Jaharani kete kele Papadure jaya Emona doyala prabhu Keba kota poya, and so on. And this song also very much nicely connects to the topic that just by coming in touch with the Vaishnava, one gets purified. O Vaishnava Goswami, please be merciful unto me. There is no one except you who can purify the fallen souls. Where does anyone find such merciful personality, by whose mere audience all sins go far away? After bathing in the waters of the sacred Ganges, many times one becomes purified, but just by the sight of you, the fallen souls are purified. This is your great power. So that's a nice point, that we may take bath in the Ganges many times, and you get purified. But just by seeing a Vaishnava, just by seeing a devotee, actually one gets purified. And this is the beauty of the Vaishnavas, and of course the Vaishnavas are so powerful. Why? Because they are connected to the powerful Vishnu. Because they became a transparent medium of that powerful Vishnu, the Vaishnavas get the chance or the power to actually deliver others. And we are all very fortunate because we all came in touch with Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada's movement, and with Srila Prabhupada's disciples. Especially, you are very fortunate to get the chance to actually associate with such pure devotees and very realized souls. So that is required. We need mercy of these devotees, and then we can progress nicely. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. So, Maharaj, please, any corrections?
This verse resonates with so many people who love to read because it's historical, it's geographical,
Yeah.
it connects with all people all over the world, all over the planet. And you know, where North America probably fits in is those Mongolians that people would know. Because you know, some of those indigenous folks, they recognize that, you know, they recognize that indigenous people came through the Bering Strait from Asia, you know. So that's one thing. Another point that was raised, taking Charnamrita on daily. Now, after COVID, the management here didn't set up a bowl for Charnamrita for some reason. It attracts flies, it's sticky all over the floor. But we should have some arrangement, I'm just talking to the management, where we can have it at breakfast time, just take a little bit or something has to be there. And, you know, we should reintroduce it somehow, you know? It can be discussed, but management, get it? Get it together. Haribo.
Thank you. Anyone else has any comments or corrections? Maybe questions?
Take some candy, take your pill.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the lecture. Just wanted to mention one point that I personally loved a lot. Was this example of love the dog, master will love you. Even though we have heard this analogy a lot of times, I have never heard this analogy in connection with Krishna and devotees. I was, it's like first time I was listening about this and it's amazing. Thank you for that.
And it's
I was talking about analogy, Prabhu, that Prabhu gave. Love the dog, master will love you. So I have never heard that in relation with Krishna and devotees. So that was a very good connection for me.
Love me, love my dog.
yeah.
If you want to get close to me, love my dog.
And someone may say, but how can you compare the Vaishnava with the dog? You know, but actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has another song where he actually says, "Please, let me be your dog," like to his Vaishnava. And of course, we have kind of we are. and dog has a good quality. He's very loyal, and that quality of loyalty is always emphasized and glorified by the Vaishnava. So the Vaishnava is very loyal to his guru. It's the parampara to Srila Prabhupada.
Dog, house, doesn't matter. No big difference.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. It was a wonderful lecture. I just have a question about the three things that you mentioned, that if you get this from a pure devotee, then you get prema bhakti. That is like dust of lotus feet, Mahaprasad, and Charnamrita. So my question is that many times we run after these things, you know. We want the dust and we want the Charnamrit. But then we also hear about how Vani is more important than Vapu. So I feel like these things, they also fall in the category of Vapu.
Yes.
So if you want to give some insights.
Very good point. Well, why is Vani considered to be more important? One thing is that Vani is eternal. Vapu is temporary. Vapu we have for some time, and then it's not there anymore. Whereas Vani remains forever. And in this way, Vani is very, very powerful. And also, sometimes we may not have so much Vapu, but even a little can be enough if we receive some instruction. Therefore, actually, we should be very eager to receive instructions. We should ask our Gurudevs, our seniors and Vaishnavas, please, how can I please you? How can I serve you? That should be an active approach from our side. Because Guru gives general instruction, chant 16 rounds, and distribute books and all of that, which is very good, and we can also follow that. But if you receive some personal, individual instruction, this is very precious, and for the rest of our lives, we can remember these instructions, that they can guide our life. So therefore, Vani is considered to be so important. Nevertheless, that doesn't mean that Vapu is not important. So we should actually, Vapu is powerful, because without Vapu, where do you get your Vani from? Right? So in a way, this is both very important, and we should be eager to get Vapu as much as we can. Like in my case, my spiritual master left quite early, left 20 years ago. So I only had a few years association and he left. So I was a very young devotee without losing my spiritual father in that sense. It was very painful. And therefore I always feel like, we should be eager, as long as we still have the presence, the Vapu of our spiritual masters, we should be eager. Sometimes we're a little lazy. There's a festival, I could go, but now it's a little too far, maybe I'll go next time. No, whenever you get a chance, have Vapu, take the chance, take this association. And then you receive Vani, and that will help. So I would say it requires both. And in regards to these items, they are kind of extras, or because if someone may not be able to receive the water or the Mahaprasad or the dust, but if someone sincerely follows the instructions, certainly he gets all the blessings. These are extras, which are powerful. They are mentioned in scriptures, but the main point is to be a humble servant of the spiritual master, pleasing him, receiving mercy. That's the main thing.
Thank you.
Okay, I think 1 minute. Time is up. Huh? Okay, good time to stop.
Time for 10 minutes of exercise. Easy, just 10 minutes. and just work-wise.
Okay, thank you. 10 o'clock, yes. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.